Here we are in Ancient Laodicea. Beautiful city, pretty spread out. I'm going to be doing some walking so that you can see some things. So I will be panting through this, but understand highly agricultural area, lots of sheep or goats through this area, big textile producer, which by the way may be a clue on even some of the white robe garment language that John used in their prophetic letter to them, the church here in Revelation chapter 3. So you can read that later. Right here you see an ancient stadium. So about 600 meters long. Think about 2 football fields for a pretty close reference. Seating all the way around. They would have games and competitions here. Not a hippodrome, and this is dated 1st century. So this would have certainly been the stadium when Paul came here, the early apostles came through this city. This would have been the stadium. Right behind me is ruins of their ancient bath. If you watched the video that I showed about the concept of the ancient Roman bath, hot water, lukewarm water, cool water, this would have been the bath here, the ruins of it. I think that is extremely significant to understand what Paul would have meant to the church in Laodicea. I'd rather you be hot or cold, both positive, rather than lukewarm, negative. I have another comment on that in a minute. So we're going to walk. I'm going to have to walk pretty quickly. But you can see the beauty of this, surrounded by mountains. We're actually pretty close to Hierapolis going that way, to Colossae going that way. We'll actually be in Colossae, the recipient of the letter from Paul to the church at Colossae, what we would call Colossians. So more about that later. It will be a little noisy as I'm running through here. I'm going to backtrack some highlights of the city and actually about to walk past an active archaeological site. I'm not supposed to video that. So here from a distance you can see, but I'm going to keep my camera pointing another way so not to disrupt that. But beautiful city. While I'm walking, let me talk to you about that Roman bath, the picture that theoretically, hypothesis, I would argue my personal position of understanding the significance of hot, cold, lukewarm, spew you out of your mouth. I think sometimes we read that language translated to English, spew you out of your mouth, and we think it means like something that is drinkable or drinking water. That doesn't really fit. Sorry, it's windy. I hope you can hear me. That doesn't really fit the ancient language, or it truthfully doesn't even fit the historical context. I think it is fascinating too. We're surrounded in this area by thermal springs, calcium springs, iron springs. So hot water would have been accessible, but the very smart developed people, they could have heated the water through boilers. Probably if you've ever studied archaeology of Roman baths, that would be helpful. Anyway, back to the story. Revelation chapter 3, Laodicea, they get no positive affirmation. They just get condemnation. Pretty quickly, actually. Jumps right to the negativity. What could it mean? Let's think about this just for a minute. Hot water and cold water, both positive in the Roman bath context. Think sauna and ice bath. Both are good. They serve different purposes. Lukewarm, it's nothing but transition. It's nothing but acclimating so your body doesn't go into shock. You know, they all say don't jump from the hot tub right into the cold pool. You need that transition of acclimation. Maybe using those words carefully, maybe that suggests that this church here had completely been diluted culturally, had completely lost its impact because of the imagery of tolerance and syncretism. They've totally embraced the pagan culture around them. Could that be what it means? Personally, I think so. Let's go a layer deeper. Here in this, just zoomed unintentionally, sorry. Here in this ancient temple, there is a statue of Emperor Trajan or Trajan. Here he is, known at that time, heavily abusive, conqueror, high persecutor of the church, nickname, the Beast. So here he is, and he's sometimes naked, depicted in a statue to portray the idea of God and deity. Sometimes he's depicted in normal clothes to relating to the common people. Here as a commander, as a ruler with a captive by him. This predated the persecution. Maybe that captive represents, some people say, like the Balkan area of that time where he had conquered. Got to go quickly to meet up the group. So I'm going to walk down this ancient road, main passageway. Most definitely Christians, the apostles. Which ones exactly? Not 100% sure which apostles. This is the main corridor, though, through the city. So they certainly would have walked here. I think there's two really helpful things to reflect on here. One, what is the idea of that hot and cold, lukewarm imagery, that warning, and how do we in the church today, the American church, reflect that extreme tolerance, completely diluted? Revelation 3 does not specifically mention the beast, but that image of the beast or mark of the beast, could that be, I confess this is a thought, not a statement, could that be in parts of the world where we see elevation, almost worship of the emperor, the authoritative leader, the dictator? We definitely see all around Turkey, we're seeing pictures of their former leaders proudly being displayed. Could that be, in modern day context, the elevation of Putin? Maybe even Christian nationalism, where we think a political leader, a presidential candidate, is going to be our savior and redeemer. Folks, it's Jesus. It's Jesus. Here we are, Laodicea. We're getting more view of the city. I told you a long walk, but it would be worth it. Got a big theater over there. There's another theater that way. Main street, shops along the side. This is a massive city, influential. Over there is Hierapolis. In fact, on that hill behind that white would have been where the Apostle Philip was martyred. We were visited there yesterday. I posted a video about that separately. There's a valley in between. At that time would have been a river. I've been told the distance from here to there wouldn't be very long, half a day. You could get from Laodicea to Hierapolis. Similar distance that way toward Colossae. So, magnificent city, ancient city, lots of observations to learn from here. Hope you've enjoyed it. Could go in much more detail, but I think that's enough deep thoughts for today.